And so after that, we got with our lawyers and looked at the possibility and the probability of success, possibility of legally succeeding in winning a recount, and then the probability of that recount being upheld by state and federal courts. And we determined that, even if I was fortunate enough to get a recount and be declared the winner, that it was, having that upheld by Republican courts at that time was going to be difficult. And even if it had been upheld, that the race was so close that the people of Alabama would always be in doubt as to who the real winner of that election was. So with that in mind, I decided that the best thing to do was to really spare the people of Alabama months and months of, and spare myself and my family the months and months of agony, and just walk away from this one and, live to fight another day. I think the recount actually occurred probably closer to 1:30 to 2:30 that morning. We heard about it a little later, that there was another recount that had taken place. How those phone calls got made, I'm not sure who made them, but we knew that something was amiss by the time we got started early Wednesday morning.
So what was the circumstance of this recount? Who was there? Who ordered the recount? How did that happen?
Well, we're not sure actually, how it got done, but Bob Riley, my Republican opponent, the evening of the election, after the official results were announced that showed that I was the winner in Baldwin County, and before anybody knew that there was anything wrong with the votes in Baldwin County, made the statement publicly over state television that something was wrong with the votes in Baldwin County and they were going to get to the bottom of it. That alerted our campaign team, that we should be watching Baldwin County, because we knew that the Republicans were doing something there. But we didn't have access to the courthouse. They had locked the doors. They had thrown, everybody out. Everybody had gone home. So who actually, from Bob Riley's camp, directed people to get in there and to do another recount, whether he made the phone call, one of his staffers made the phone call, but what we do know is that someone in the sheriff's office ran the ballots, ran the new tabulation. And, again, when you're dealing with computers, you don't expect different results unless somebody has changed something. So we weren't really too fearful when we went to bed that, that they were going to produce a different outcome. We didn't know, of course, that they were going to be, what they were going to be doing. And we still don't know exactly what happened. But, we do know that from our understanding of how electronic voting machines work and how computers work, that it would be virtually impossible to produce two different results using the same data, that some human being had to come in and do something to manipulate those returns. The other anomalies, we've talked about, that, it only affected the outcome of my race and no other race. So that, we just, all we can do is surmise that there was, some hanky-panky by somebody, and whether it was, who it was and why it was, we'll probably never know. Well, no, there should not have been a recount. That was an unofficial recount. The official results, the way Alabama law works is that the precincts report to the county. There are poll watchers there representing each party and the news media. The election officials of the county, the sheriff, the probate judge, and the circuit clerk, who in this case were all Republicans, that night they announced the official results for Baldwin County. Those results should have been the results that were certified sometime after noon on Friday following the election. What happened between the official count that was announced and the votes that were certified the next day, contrary to state law, was that they got together behind closed doors after everybody had gone to bed and came up with a new count, which was unofficial, but was officially certified illegally with the stamp of approval of the district attorney and the attorney general and the Republican Secretary of State, all in contrary to Alabama express provisions of Alabama state law.
That's pretty amazing.
It was pretty amazing and pretty shocking, and something that I didn't think would ever happen so blatantly in an election, not just in Alabama, but anywhere in America. You think about, third world countries and, maybe in Russia or something, but you don't think about, open and notorious, vote manipulation in the United States. I mean, it's just something that, we pride ourselves on. Our democratically elected, Congress and president and local elected officials, and we hold ourselves out to be this model of how government should work. In fact, we send, Jimmy Carter and other famous Americans to other countries to say, hey, this is the way you ought to do it. And so you don't expect this kind of blatant vote stealing to go on in this country, and then to go on uncorrected. It might happen, but you would think, okay, if it happens, there's going to be a safeguard. We'll have a recount. But the only recount and the only recourse in this case would have been the physical hand counting of the actual paper ballots, which would have ensured once and for all that the votes were correctly counted. And it just seemed so odd to me and to others that these Republican election officials and the Attorney General and the District Attorney from that county threatened to put anybody in jail if they allowed a hand recount. There wasn't but one explanation for that, and that was that the hand recount would not have matched what they were about to certify that day. And that's why I think there was such a rush to certify, and I think that's why we never got a hand recount.
So you had asked for a recount, correct?
Yes, we asked for a hand recount the next morning, as soon as we realized that the votes had been changed.
And the reaction to that was for?
The reaction to our request for a recount was, if anybody tries to count these votes, we're putting you in jail. That was being said by Republican law enforcement officers. I hope that we will take a second look at electronic voting machines. If they don't have a paper trail, don't allow them to be used anywhere in this country. Demand that these electronic vote counting and vote casting companies get people off their boards, which have strong political ties and have a vested interest in a partisan outcome of an election, to give the people of this country the best assurance possible that, one, every vote does count and will be counted and can be verified if there's a question. And secondly, that the people who are in charge of these vote casting and vote counting companies don't have a political axe to grind. I would trust them if there is a paper ballot trail. If the voter has a chance to verify that his or her vote was cast and counted the way it was intended, and secondly, that paper ballot, that receipt that you would you get at a grocery store, when you buy a roll of duct tape, they ought to be able to give you one when you cast a ballot for President of the United States, that receipt then is put into a ballot box like we used to do, like we still do for absentee votes, so that there is a paper trail that can be counted if and when there is a proper request for a recount made.
The optical scan machines, you have a physical ballot with those, so you do have a backup